Warning, this video does contain spoilers, blood, and gore. Hey guys, and welcome to another game review. And today's game that I will be reviewing is Halo Combat Evolved, released in 2001 for the original Xbox. This has got to be one of the most influential games in history, and you know, it must have been pretty popular seeing as they literally made a Halo Edition original Xbox. So it must have been pretty big. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing that I want to look at is story, and this game for the most part was really good on that front. Right out of the gate, you are just thrown into a battle between the humans and the alien race called the Covenant. And at first I honestly didn't care for the beginning because, you know, you kind of have no clue what's going on. You're just literally thrown into this big old epic battle on a spaceship. But after thinking about it a little bit, I kind of realized, you know, this actually makes perfect sense because you're just like, you know, you're feeling what Master Chief is feeling, which is basically you don't know where you are, you don't know what, you know, what's even really happening. All you know is you got to kill aliens. So I actually kind of liked that at the beginning, that bit of confusion. And your main goal, which you don't really find out until about halfway through the game, is that you must stop the spread of the Flood, which is an evil parasitic race of just horrible monstrosities, really. Which I kind of found interesting because the later Halo games don't really have much, you know, horror. But the first Halo Combat Evolved, really actually felt like a horror game, almost like Doom, which I found really interesting. And to be honest, whenever those Flood things are running down the hallways and stuff, after you trying to eat your brain, I was terrified. So good job on that. But whenever you find out about the Flood, you meet this character called Guilty Spark. He's just this weird little floating robot head that basically tells you, you know, hey, we're gonna go save the world and whatever from the Flood, and I need your help to do it. And this was the only thing about the story that I didn't really care for, actually, was this part right here, because Master Chief just is kind of like, oh, okay, I'm gonna, you know, we're gonna be best friends now, and we're gonna save the universe, which seemed a little out of character, you know, that Master Chief didn't question this little robot guy at all. He just kind of went with him. I just thought that was a little bit off, but other than that, I thought the story was really good, and also a lot of compelling characters like Guilty Spark, and Cortana, and Captain Keyes, and Master Chief himself I found to be a very compelling character. And all the characters were also, well, very well written. They actually felt like real, you know, real people, which was, you know, pretty rare in a lot of games back then. So they did a good job on that. It also turns out later on in the game that Guilty Spark doesn't really necessarily actually want to save the universe. He actually wants to destroy all life basically in like 90% of the universe so that the Flood has nothing to eat and it'll starve itself. So, you know, I guess it's a roundabout way of saving the world, but it does, you know, turn out that he's actually the, you know, the antagonist of this game. All in all, thought the story was really good, except for that one little, you know, little out of character thing with Guilty Spark and Master Chief. So I'm going to have to give this game a 9 out of 10 for story. Alright, thought the story was really good, but that one thing just felt a tad bit off. Didn't hurt it a lot, but definitely did affect the story a tiny bit. So, moving on. Alright, so the second thing to look at now is graphics. And to be honest, for the year 2000, which when I'm reviewing graphics on a game, I always compare it to the games of the year the game was released. The graphics on this game were pretty much unmatched for the year 2000. They truly looked amazing. They actually managed to make Master Chief look pretty realistic, which back then, realism in games tended to not come off very realistic, but this game actually felt pretty realistic. And the design of the aliens, you know, especially those little guys and the tall aliens, were really good. Also, the hunters were extremely well animated. A lot of detail on those guys. The scenery all looked really good. Just everything about this game looked pretty much amazing. And literally, the game, I couldn't imagine it looking... words. I couldn't imagine this game looking any better. It just looked amazing. So I'm going to have to give this game a 10 out of 10 for graphics. It looked so good. Alright, so moving on. Alright, so next is what I would consider the most important thing in any game, and that is gameplay. Gameplay is so important because if that's not good, then to be honest, graphics and story don't really matter that much if the game's not fun. And for the most part, I thought this game was pretty good. You know, all the variety of guns was pretty good. You know, like the shotgun, the sniper rifle, the pistol. I loved the pistol. That was like my favorite gun in the entire game, except for maybe the shotgun. I think the shotgun was a little bit better. But for the most part, it was good. The only complaint that I have with gameplay, and to be honest, it's a fairly big one, is that it was repetitive. There's only like 5 or 6 different enemies in the game to kill. I found the final boss to be just really annoying and repetitive because you just have to throw grenades into the reactor of the ship to blow it up and basically destroy Halo, which is the big, you know, ring planet thing. And it was just really repetitive. So for that, I'm going to have to give this game a 7 out of 10 for gameplay. Thought it was really good, just repetitive. So now I just want to list 2 more things before I reveal the final score of this game. Alright, so first thing I want to list is difficulty. Difficulty was pretty high on this game. I thought like in the beginning it was pretty easy, but it got pretty drastically hard, especially once you got to the point of fighting the Flood, and that, you know, most notably that level where you're following Guilty Spark through that big alien tower, and the Flood is literally like flowing out of the walls everywhere. I probably died over 50 times in that level. So I'm going to have to give this game a 8 out of 10 for difficulty. I found it to be pretty hard. And the second thing I want to list is playthrough time. And something I want to note too is my playthrough for this review wasn't my first time playing the game. It was actually my second time playing. I played one time back when I was like, I don't know, like 8. And I got to just about the end of the game and then quit for really no reason. I actually don't know why I quit the game. I just did. But my playthrough for the review, which was technically my second playthrough, took me a total of 9.5-ish hours. So it's a pretty short game at only 9.5 hours. Yeah, definitely a pretty short game. So now it's time for the final score. So all in all, I found this game to be really fun. The story was great, the graphics were amazing, and of course the gameplay was a little flawed here and there, but all in all the game was really good. So I'm going to have to give this game a final score of 8.3 out of 10. So thanks for watching, and make sure to sub, like, and comment below.